Perfils, if you're watching this, let me know what you think so far. Hey everybody, how's it going? I just wanted to give you another update in the Let's Make a K-Pop Song video series. Of course, the first song that we're covering in this video series is 123 by Perfils, and we're making an English language male version of the song. Last video I showed you guys a little bit of the method on how I approach the lyrics to a song like this, and I've been super busy. I'm still working on the lyrics, but they're almost done, I promise. I'm like 2 sentences away from being completely done with the whole thing, so it's really close. And because it's been so long, I want to give you guys the next video in the series, which is going to cover how I set up my Pro Tools files and how I start approaching, like, blocking out the song and starting to do the beat. So let's move the camera over so you guys can see what's going on, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. Alright, so here's my Pro Tools setup. I probably have more monitors than most people use, but it's really not any different. All of these windows are the normal Pro Tools windows. I just have a little more space to put them out on. If you're using a laptop with a small monitor, you've got less real estate, it's okay. All these different things you can just toggle between. I just like having them all up on the screen at once so I can kind of monitor what's going on, but it doesn't really slow you down if you have to toggle back and forth very much at all. In case any of you are wondering, this software that I'm using here is Pro Tools. This is version 10. I think it's 10.3.2. That's just the one that I found has the least bugs on my system. This is essentially the same software that most pro studios use. A lot of them use a Pro Tools HD setup, but the program itself looks almost identical, and it does almost the exact same thing. The only difference is that with Pro Tools HD, you have the Pro Tools system taking some of the load off your computer, like doing DSP audio effects, but in this type of setup, I'm not using the Avid HD hardware, I'm not using the HD software, and so my computer handles all of the audio operations without any extra help. Many pro studios, definitely a majority of them, use Pro Tools, so I'm sure you've probably seen some of this. Maybe it looks familiar to you from some behind the scenes videos from your favorite artists. And basically what's going on here, up here I've got my main editing window. On the left side you can see all the tracks and the plugins, the way I have it set up. On the right side here, all of this stuff over here are the actual audio files that are playing, and these are MIDI files. They look a little bit different. If I zoom in here, you can see there's like little blocks. MIDI is actually data, it's not a sound file, but it can control synthesizers, it can control samplers, it can control beats. You can do all kinds of cool stuff with MIDI, and actually this one right here that you're seeing is the beat of the song, and that's playing back drum samples in Battery 4, which I'll get to in a minute. Right here you can see this is an audio file. You can see the actual sound waves here. And up here along the top you've got all your tools, your options, the time counters, the grid, all those settings, play, record, that kind of thing. Then moving down here, this is the mix window. Usually I have it spread out over both of these bottom monitors because I like to see as many tracks as possible. Here you can control things like how loud the individual tracks are. You can control what plugins are going on each track and affecting the sound. Like here, we've got an EQ plugin with a little bit of a mid-range boost here on that particular track. And after you finish editing, most of the post-production work goes on in this type of window. And then over here is the Pro Tools MIDI editor window. And like I was talking about before, I actually have opened the beat of the song, and you can see there's already quite a bit of things going on in here. These are some of the clap sounds. I think this is kick, I think this is snare right here, and all the crazy stuff down here, the actual velocities of each note that I'm hitting. So you can actually control how hard or soft each drum sample is hitting, and it tends to make it sound a lot more realistic and a lot more musical. So as far as how my setup goes and my workflow for this type of K-pop cover, up here you can see I've got the original track, which I legally purchased, by the way. I would encourage all of you to do the same, and you can take a listen here. I'll solo it. So I've got the original track there, I can listen to it, I can hear what's going on, and then I can make my version to sound similar, or if I want to change things, I can change them. I also have the official instrumental, which is queued up right here, and it came with the single, which is actually really nice because I can listen then without the vocals covering things up, and I can really hear what's going on in the backing track that I'm trying to remake. So I'll play a little bit of that. So it's basically the song without vocals. Now, one trick that I always try to do, it didn't quite work with this song because the master of the single and the master of the instrumental are a little bit different, but a lot of times you can phase cancel out the backing track and leave yourselves with just an a cappella vocal track. And the concept behind this actually works the same way as like noise canceling headphones. So you can see here I've got a single plugin, it's an EQ plugin, but it's not doing anything except reversing the phase. So if you line up the original and you line up the instrumental perfectly, I'll solo both of them and you can listen to what the result is. As you can hear, there's still some backing track in there, but there's a lot less of it. Listen to the original. And then back in. And see right there, you can really hear the vocals and the vocal effects a lot better because the backing track's being cut down to almost nothing. So that's one trick that really helps me do these covers. Alright, so the first thing I do when I'm actually remaking my own version of the backing track is I sync the original up to my metronome. And if I turn that on here, you can listen. It's a perfect match. This song is actually at 123 beats per minute, which is kind of funny because the song is called 123. I doubt that's an accident, but it was just a clever thing they put in there. But anyway, now that I have the metronome synced up to the original, usually I'll go through, block out the song, and I'll label like the verses and the chorus, but I didn't actually do that this time. You can see I have a start label, but that's it, because this song was pretty straightforward. So usually the first thing I'll do is make sure I know where every part of the song is, and then immediately I'll start trying to remake the beat. For this particular track, I decided to use Battery 4 for most of the beat, and that's a really great sampling plugin for drums and percussion or really anything made by Native Instruments. And if I click on it over here, you can see what it looks like. Basically, all these little blocks represent a drum sound. So you can hear I've got all kinds of stuff loaded up in there. So what's going on here, this plugin has all those nice real drum sounds, and then over here in the MIDI is controlling them. So look, when I hit this MIDI note over here, when I click on it, that's the kick drum. And when I click on this one, it's the snare drum. And then the one up here is actually a cymbal. So basically, you're controlling real drum sounds up here with MIDI data down here that you can program. So when we play that, listen to how it sounds all together. You can see all the samples being triggered up here and playing back. And then down here, you've got the MIDI playing and controlling all of them. Obviously, I'm skipping a whole bunch of work. I've already gone through and programmed a whole bunch of the drums. And yes, you do have to sit there and punch in every one, or do it on a keyboard or a drum pad or something like that. I'll listen to the track here. Then here's my version. So I'm basically trying to match exactly what they did on the original, but I'm doing it in my own way. Now listen to both of them together. You almost can't tell that they're playing together because I've matched the original exactly how it was. So it's basically just a process of going through and listening to how they did it, and then deciding whether to do it the same way, or maybe change things up a little bit and give it a different feel, or a different sound, or a different part completely. You can really do anything you want, and that's what makes this really, really fun. Now, the other thing I've been doing the exact same thing with as the drums is the lead synthesizer. I'll go into more detail in a later video about how I set up my plugins and synths and get all the tones that I do, but for now I'm just trying to get the part to sound correct, so listen to the original here. It's got kind of a quack to it, got a biting mid-range, but that's the part. It's not too complicated, so that's the original. Now listen to my version. So listen to mine and the original together. Now you can hear that they do sound a little bit different. You can notice them together because I'm using a different tone on my synthesizer than they used on the original. It's close, but I did tweak it a little bit to my liking. So now that we've got the lead synth and we've got some basic drums going on, let's take a listen to the instrumental again. Here's the official one. Now listen to mine. And that's how the song starts taking shape. Alright everybody, I hope you enjoyed this update. Please tell me if you'd like to see more things, specifically if I'm going too fast, if I'm going too slow, let me know and I'll try to cover it. Perfils, if you're watching this, let me know what you think so far, and I'll see you guys next time.